late last night when I wasn't looking. Sometime around 8 when I'd just finished cooking. I'd forgotten my three-legged table tends to warble, and I poured out and subsequently lost my marbles. I poured them out because I was eager to play. Then the table leaned and they all rolled away. You see, the problem with marbles is when you're not paying attention, they'll scatter like ducks at a rifle convention. So there I was, sitting at the table that I'd just realized wasn't all that stable, and watching my marbles fall to the floor and roll to all four corners of my kitchen floor. So I dropped to my knees to grab what I could, but my floor was a freshly polished hardwood, so there, being parted like the ancient Red Seas, were my two overworked middle-aged knees. Now what I did next felt like the most natural thing in the world. I filled my lungs and I screamed like a girl. I really let go. We're not even talking about loud. I was rattling windows. Aretha would be proud. But I didn't have a Motown rhythm section. I had an appointment on Tuesday for an ear infection, which at the moment wasn't exactly at the front of my mind. I was so seething with pain I was practically blind. So it took a second to realize that I'd knelt on attack. But when I did, I leapt up and threw out my back. All movement ceased as I instantly froze, contorted my face, and curled my toes. But I'd emptied my lungs and I couldn't scream again, so this time I managed to scream while breathing in. That terrible sound that eked from my chest was enough to frighten a bird from its nest, which had just been built beneath my front porch. So when it heard me scream, it lit up like a torch and shot like a rocket bound for the sky, which happened to catch my Labrador's eye. Now this dog, named Ted, was tied to a rail that tried to contain him, but to no avail. So when he got up to chase after the bird, there were a couple of unusual sounds that I heard. The first was a yelp when the leash pulled tight, but the second was a snap when, to Ted's delight, the rail that held him snapped in two, allowing him to chase that bird into the wild blue. And then, silence. For 5 minutes, maybe more, while I lay face down on my kitchen floor. Then, slowly at first, as if on its own, my house began to creak and moan, and as it continued to crackle and yawn, I gradually figured out what was going on. You see, the leash that was tied around Ted's neck was fastened to a support beam on my front deck. Now my second-story awning had begun to sag, like an airline patron with his face in a bag, not yet forcing his insides out, but the bell had been rung to begin this bout. Once it had been started, it couldn't be stopped. The bottle had been shaken and the top had been popped. So there I lay, motionless, not making a sound, and watching my entire east wall get pulled to the ground. If I had been a samurai condemned to death, just then I would have taken my final breath. Oh, I would have pulled that sword out from its sheath, because sitting outside was Ted with a sparrow in his teeth. I would have killed myself with dignity and grace if I could have pulled myself up off my face, but as I said, I was kissing the pine while waves of pain went rippling up my spine, and if that's not enough to make me wish I was dead, just then a marble went rolling past my head. But I just had to laugh as it rolled out the front door, which was now the east wall of my first and second floor, and I thought to myself, if I ever manage to get all my marbles back, I think I'll be keeping them safe in their sack. But before I forget, as soon as I am able, I have got to fix that goddamn table.